This girl that I used to date texted me. I decided to meet up with her again because she told me she had something important to tell me. I arrived a bit earlier and waited on her at the table. And that is when I almost didn't recognize you, Rachel. Rachel.
It's been a while. How have you been?
Yeah, I've been doing alright. I started going to university.
That's cool. I go to trade school. I'm a florist apprentice now.
So, what's the reason for meeting up?
I wanted to apologize. I did bad things to you back then. I was a messed up kid, and I'm sorry about everything.
We told each other everything that happened in our lives the past 2 years. Then we bid our farewell at the end of the night and went home. I don't know what's weirder, that I remember everything we talked about 6 years ago, or that I'm making a video out of it right now. Also, Rachel has found my YouTube channel. People keep asking, do your exes watch your videos? Yes, they do. Every single one of them found my videos. I hate it here. It's supposed to be anonymous, okay? That's why I put my face in public. Okay, you know what? I'm just stupid. By the way, a quick timetable for people who are confused. When I was 15, I was with Cindy. When I was 16, I was with Rachel for the first time. With 17, I was with Katya. And with 18, I was with Rachel the second time. So, all caught up, good, fine. And just because a lot of people worry about me in my comments, everything that has happened in my stories happened almost a decade ago. I'm turning 25. I've completely healed from these stories. That's why I can also openly talk about it like that. Rachel and I started to meet up semi-regularly back then, and I thought things were going great. Cause if you remember, the reason why we two never worked out in the first place was because Rachel wanted to be casual and I wanted a relationship. But after being in a toxic relationship for so long, I was like, you know what? Now me, Relachi, can be casual for the first time in her life. And our dynamic was good, cause Rachel treated me like no girl ever did before. She was bringing me out on dates, she was buying me dinner, I felt like a princess. A few months into this casual thing, Rachel and I were chilling on the couch and she was caressing my cheek. She admired my clear skin and wow, I sound conceited saying that, but it's relevant to the story. So anyways, she likes my skin, so she would always come up real close and just look at it and touch my face. And on that day, it kinda went like this.
Your skin is so nice.
Thanks, Rach.
I love you. Your skin! I meant to say I loved your skin!
I thought it was hilarious, but she mad. Okay, lesson learned. The next time someone says I love you, I'm not going to laugh into their face, I guess. Seems a bit insensitive now that I think about it. So yeah, that was basically how I found out that Rachel was in love with me, while I thought the whole time it was casual. And meanwhile, she was planning out an entire future with me. And I gave it some thoughts. I thought, maybe I can do it. I used to have feelings for her back when I was 16, so I thought I could just rekindle it. And maybe I can give it another shot, but while I was thinking about everything, sorting my feelings out, Rachel was already meeting up with guys and telling me about it, and boy, that made me jealous. And I told you before, when I was a teenager, I had a horrible problem with jealousy. And yeah, so I thought the best solution was to make her my girlfriend immediately. I was not smart. But hey, if I had been a smarter kid, my channel wouldn't even have half the video it does, so go me. So we got together and I didn't regret it at all, cause it was great. I didn't have to walk around eggshells anymore. It was good. However, the grass wasn't always green. 2 months into the relationship, I realized how selfish of a person Rachel actually was. A lot of the time she didn't even think about anyone else besides herself. For example, I have a really bad dust and pollen allergy. Rachel never took the time to clean her room before inviting me over. Her room was a horrible, dusty mess. And not just that, Rachel was a florist apprentice, so she was full of pollen dust. And she didn't even take the time to shower before meeting me. And you might never think that someone who works around flowers the whole day would smell so bad. So, the dust in her room and the pollen on her body combined together were giving me the worst allergies. I have gotten a constant rash on my face that wouldn't go away until we broke up. Her hygiene was generally the worst. She never washed her ass crack. Some things are meant to be forgotten. And sometimes when she was staying over at my place, I would find actual caterpillars and bugs on my bed the next day. I thought hygiene was mandatory, it was normal, it was a basic thing. But apparently it's not, so since then it's on my very, 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 very top of my priority list when dating. You can be a piece of shit, just don't smell like one. Speaking of pieces of shit, I would soon find out that Rachel was a bit very clingy. She wanted to meet up every or at least every other day, and if I said no, she mad. If I said maybe later, she mad. So to keep my stinky girl happy, I sacrificed a lot of time and a lot of money to be with her. But there were still times where I couldn't go on a date with her on demand, cause your girl's gotta hustle. For example, when I had mandatory lab 30 hours a week, next to studying and working of course. And my university was super strict with mandatory lab. If you're late or if you don't show up, you're kicked out. And you need that class to get the bachelor's. And the class is limited to 1,000 students per semester. And absolutely no one wanted to get kicked out of that lab, because there are more students than free spaces available in the lab. And did I explain all this to Rachel? Yes. Did she care? No! And she would often ask me to play hooky and skip for her. And I told her I cannot skip out on that class. I will get kicked out. Jesus. Her only freaking argument was that she skips class all the time too, so why can't I? Well, maybe because mandatory university lab practices is different to freaking apprentice school. You can get away way easier with skipping school. I explained that to her for the 5th time and she just didn't listen. And she just kept making those weird arguments that didn't make sense. I think that everything I said sounded like an excuse to her to not meet up with her, which it wasn't.
Yeah, whatever, fine. If you don't want to be with me, then just say so.
What? No, I said... And she hung up. On the days we didn't meet up, she would call me and, in theory, this sounds great. It's just that Rachel is a horrible, horrible person to be on the phone with. She would call you and you'd be like, hello? And she would hit you with,
entertain me.
Like, what am I, Netflix? So, I'm on the phone chatting with her for hours. I'm a talkative person. I have a lot of story times. This is why this channel exists. So that's fine. However, she would barely reply and talk to me. She would be busy doing stuff while she was on the phone with me, like, sorting out her clothes or whatever Rachel does. It felt like I was talking to the void, because no one was replying and there would just be a ton of noise on her end. Every phone call ended like this.
Hello?
Yes?
Why are you not talking?
Because you're not talking.
Okay. I'm hanging up.
Rachel was such a passive person most of the time. It's like sometimes she's just a shell of a human being. When we were waiting for the bus, an enraged Austrian man started ranting about foreigners. Just like that, for no reason. First he did it passively, but then he directed his anger towards me specifically, as the only person of color standing there. He was a huge guy and he was getting closer to me. I was trying to tell him to knock it off, but he ignored it and kept getting closer. I looked and called after Rachel, who was standing next to me as a desperate plea for help. I would actively ask her to say something, but she just ignored me and stared ahead. It was starting to escalate. In my mind, I was ready to fight him. Yet, I was struck by a great sense of fear because in my subconsciousness, I knew this guy can just pick me up and break my arms just like that. Then some other people came to the bus station and the guy called him out and told him to leave me alone. That's when he let go of me and left the bus station immediately. I still felt that fight or flight sense running through my body and I was still shaking. And I was so disappointed with my girlfriend. Of course, I didn't expect her to fight him or anything, but she could have called for help or at least tried to comfort me after he was gone. But she was still in this weird blank state of hers. And with the state I was in, it erupted in me yelling at her as to why she didn't do anything. I am used to racism, but usually they just yell some hateful remarks and then leave. But I'm not used to it getting that violent. Which, consider me lucky, I guess. That was the first time I actually thought I was in danger, but that's going to be my last time. And you know why? It's because I started jogging. So if anyone tries to hurt me again, I'm going to run away like a track star. No, I'm not going to fight a guy twice my size. I value life. But that was kind of weird, right? That unresponsiveness of her. That's not the behavior of a normal person. Even if she was scared or shy or a non-confrontational person, there would at least be some reaction to it. There was none at all. And when we started dating, I thought that Rachel would be lower maintenance than Katya. But I was wrong. She was the most high maintenance girl I could have ever dated. That girl couldn't even cook for herself. Like, what's with me and dating women that can't cook? I think that's a basic skill to survive on. What do you eat? Like, she legitimately ate cheese on bread every day, 3 times a day. How? Okay, and aside from that and her overall clinginess, another thing that killed my social life and my me time were her panic attacks. She was getting them apparently for no reason at all. And sometimes it would be at a normal hour, like during the afternoon or late evenings. But often it's in the nighttime, and I would wake up to a call at 3 or 4 a.m. by Rachel in tears that she's having a panic attack. I would stay awake and be on the phone calming her down for hours. And if it was very bad, I would go over to her place. But since there are no buses at 3 a.m. and my family doesn't have a car, I would take my bicycle and bike over there at 3 a.m. in the morning. Or I would be out with friends and get a message that she's having a panic attack, and I always have to leave because of my girlfriend's panic attacks. And being there for your girlfriend is a higher priority than partying with your friends, obviously. But little did I know what actually caused those panic attacks. I was going to find out the real reason behind it all a couple months into the relationship. I was cleaning up her room and saw a Kirby DS cartridge. I love Kirby, so I took the DS box, opened it up, and something was in there that was not a Kirby DS game. And this something was going to put an end to our relationship. You can't be serious.